So if anybody has looked on the YouTube channel, I have what I call the Grosso Close 1.0. I'm now going to give you version 2.0, and this evening I'll take the one down and put this one up. Because I just in reading the manual 3 times in the last 48 hours, at least the back section, I didn't read the whole damn thing in 3 times in 48 hours, but reading the back section, I've already been able to add one more close and clean up my verbiage even better for what I was doing in the Grosso, and just continuing to work on getting closer and closer to what he was doing. So from the top, let's talk about how to carry this through the close. As we know, we're not going to use 15% anymore to create our 1 year number. That's a little bit pushes the realm of believability if you've got a $25,000 job and you want to add $3,700 as a drop. So what I want you to do, until Mark puts a letter out, you can use the 11.7. We want to have an odd percentage so it creates an oddball number. So just whatever your one-click number is, multiplied by 1.17, or excuse me, 1.11, and that'll give you an 11% increase over whatever your number is. And you can tell I don't feel well today, can't you? God, I'm messing this all up. Take your one-click number, get 11.7 of that, and put that in the line item as your 1 year price promise. That'll then
1.117.
That 11.7. That'll then generate a number at the bottom that is your 1 year figure. Then you're going to put your iPad into the presentation screen. That's the TV in the top left. So you can turn it around. And we want to reread the order. If you're not rereading the order right before you go through pricing, you're really sabotaging yourself. Because if you've ever done this in the home, 30 minutes after you finish demoing the product, ask them what the name of something is. They don't remember. They don't remember the product name. They don't remember it. So even though you just went through the demo, they've literally forgotten 30% of what you described. So take the opportunity as you read through the order to one more time cover how you're going to install it and what they're getting and what that does, and then you get down to the bottom number. Now, if you can, you get to the bottom number, take your presentation sheet, read through those check boxes, again, reiterating down to the studs, this, that, the other thing. Write the number on there, and you're going to turn around and present it to them. When you present them the number, what we're going to do then, and let's say we present 27,778, you're then going to wait for them to respond. The more conversation you can generate here, the better off you will be moving on. The whole process of this Grosso Close, these steps, is not only to get the information we need, but by doing this stuff early, talking about the deposit early, talking about the 3 finance options early, creating this conversation, it's leaving you on this number longer. And the longer you're on this number, the sooner in your closing process they will buy. The faster you move off this number into your closing steps and you run through the paces, the deeper into your close they're going to buy, which means you're making less money. So it's all about creating the conversation. Smile and nod. What are you comparing it to? Where'd you get that number from? Nothing confrontational. You're just curious. What are your initial thoughts? Just tell me what's going through your head. Just anything that'll get them to talk. You can always, a couple of times, use the technique of, if you don't know anything else to say the last 3 or 4 words. We're not going to be able to do this till next year sometime. Next year sometime. And if you say it as a question, they will feel the need to further explain or to define what's going on.
Sorry, I was talking to Michelle.
That does not pass, young man.
I'm sorry.
That's not a valid excuse. All right. So now you're going through and you're looking for conversation. You're pulling it out. Now, even though you've told them several times this is the 1 year number, obviously all that flew out of their head when you put 27,778. And it's not 27,778, is it?
No.
It's 27,778, right. So remind them, folks, remember, this is your 1 year number. I told you we're gonna give you a guaranteed figure, protect you against labor and material. That's what that represents. Oh, yeah, okay. And then we're going, always talking about the future, we're gonna say, so if and when you decide to move forward, folks, would you do this cash or finance? So we're gonna find out right now whether they're cash or finance. Now remember, there's 3 kinds of buyers. There's a finance buyer, there's a true cash buyer, and then there's a finance buyer that thinks they're a cash buyer. So the first thing you're gonna do if somebody goes, well, I think I would pay cash, is I want you to go, great. I love folks that have saved up and are planning forward for the project. Are these funds you have readily available, or will you be going somewhere to get them? So because a lot of people who are gonna go get a loan at the bank will tell you they're cash because they're thinking they're gonna give you cash, but there's still a loan involved in the background. If somebody says that, if somebody goes, well, we're gonna go to the bank and get a home equity loan. Excellent, John and Mary. Sounds like you're really serious about this. What I would like to do then is let's also go over all of our financing options so you can compare the rates and the different loans and get what works best for you. Does that sound good? And there's nobody that doesn't want more information. There's nobody that doesn't want to compare rates. So it would allow you to keep on to the conversation and talk about financing options. And the conversations about our loan's not final until it's installed and you've got time to go to the bank for 6 or 8 weeks and check. Don't do all that now. You want to stay on a very narrow path. You're going to have that conversation when later on you've narrowed everything else down and they go, well, we still want to check with our bank. You pull that conversation out of your pocket. The biggest lesson that I want you to take away from Grasso is all the conversations you have are negotiating points. And you need to keep as many negotiating tools in your tool belt. If you just throw them out on the table, then your close is going to be very short and you don't have them. So when somebody says, well, now I was going to go to the bank and get a home equity line, don't go into all the conversation about you can give us a check at installation and the loan's gone. Save those points for more conversation later. Just say what you need to go to your next step in this linear process. John and Mary sounds very smart, wanting to get different options. I'll go over our financing options as well so you can compare rates and pick the one that works best for you. Sound good? And that'll allow you to stay focused. If the people are true cash buyers, they go, no, I've got the funds readily available, no problem. Then I'm immediately going to explain the third, and a third. And I'm going to go, well, folks, when people want cash, the arrangement that we make is we take a third when they place the order, not today, not when they sign. Remember, this is all future talk. We take a third when they place the order. We take a third when we deliver your materials. And then we won't take the final third until you're completely satisfied with everything we've done. Does that work for you? Yep, it sure does. And then I would actually do the math and write whatever the third is, 83, 38. And then I'm going to ask them what? I'm going to ask them if they're going to use a check or a credit card, or do we need to get my shovel out of the trunk to dig the mason jars up? And when they say check, now I'm going for the assumptive sale. I'm going to see if I'm there. Great. What's that check number? Can you grab your checkbook? If they say credit card, what flavor, Visa? Do you have that card on you? Can I get the card? And just see what happens. This is all assuming the sale and not at all scared of a no because we're just getting started. Okay, all right. So if they're finance, then the next thing I'm going to do is the same conversations we've been doing all along. Fantastic. Folks, when you decide to move forward, remember, I'm always couching it in the future. When you decide to move forward, we do like to get a good faith deposit. Most people do between 10 and 20%. On your project, that would be between $2,700 and $5,400. Does that work for you? And if they say yes, what were you thinking? 27, 3, 54? Just ask them what the number is. Find out. If they say no, we're going to anchor them. We're not going to say what does, because they'll come about $100 a month. So we're gonna anchor them with a lower number and say, folks, it's just a good faith deposit. I don't want you losing sleep over it. Would you be more comfortable at 12 or 1,500 a month? Does that work? And if it doesn't, they'll then give you the number. So let's say they say I could do 1,000. And then what's the next question we ask them? Would you do that with a check, a credit card? Do I need to get the shovel so we go digging in the backyard? They say check. Then I'm going to put a circle around it because that's their number. Now, since they're finance, we're now going to give them 3 financing options, not 3 payment plans, 3 financing options. So folks, let me give you the 3 financing options we have. We have 6 months, no payments, no interest. Now, this is a great loan for a bridge loan, John and Mary. If you just need a little time, maybe something you're pulling out of your retirement account, or you want to, if it's towards the end of the year, you want to split the tax year. You don't have any fixed payment, and as long as you have it completely settled in that 6-month period, there's no interest. But you gotta have it settled before the 6 months is up. Because if you don't, it's gonna turn into a high interest loan all the way back to day one on the total amount. And that's not what we wanna do. We've got better plans than that. Now, if somebody was triggered by the 24-month same as cash on the marketing piece, they're gonna say it here, aren't they? They're gonna say, well, I don't want the 6 months. Don't y'all have 24 months same as cash? We sure do. Is that the program that is appealing to you? That's what would work? Fantastic. And I would just mark this out, put 24 months same as cash, put a circle, and I'm not gonna have the conversation now about our company wants the money sooner rather than later to move them back up to 6, because I wanna close it first. I'm nibbling at this. Remember, closing is not big giant steps where you cover too much ground. It's a slow waltz of small steps, one thing at a time. So most people are gonna, and I would literally say, if they were gravitating towards it, so let me ask you, John, do you have the funds that you could pay this off in its entirety on any given day during that 6-month period? Well, I don't have the money yet, but I will. I got a better program for you then. And just take them to it. Or if the guy goes, no, I got the money, I just don't want to give it to you yet. Fantastic. And I would just circle it, we're there. All right, then the next one that we want to quote is we're going to quote 9.9% at 60 months. And that would be on this, it's $553 a month. And then I'm going to put 9.9% at 84 months. And that's $447, I think it was, a month. So John and Mary, the great thing is our loans are unsecured. There's no lien on your property, not like a mortgage or when you buy a new car and they put a lien on your title. So none of that. It's just your good name and your credit securing this loan. It also is a simple interest loan with no prepayment penalty. You send in, that means anything you send extra goes all on the principal, dramatically shortens the loan, and saves you all the interest for the time you didn't use. You're explaining something complicated. Use that soundbite pause technology I talk about, that technique when you're doing this. So it's a simple interest with no prepayment loan. That means anything extra you send over the monthly all goes on the principal, dramatically shortens the loan, and saves you all that interest for the time you didn't need it. Sound bites, pauses technique. Then you just simply go, which one of those two works best for you? Now, if they tell you the $553 a month is the one that works best for them, do I need to ask them if it fits in their budget comfortably 12 months out of 12 months? No, because if that didn't work, they'd have said that one, wouldn't they? Now, if they tell me that the $447 a month is the one they want, I need to make sure it fits in the budget 12 months out of 12 months, don't I? Because maybe this is too much, but they only picked it because it was the lowest one. So if they go to this one, you're fine. You don't need to add more conversation. You're good. Just circle it. If they say the $447, I'm simply going to go, Well, let me ask you, John and Mary, are you completely comfortable with that 12 months out of 12 months? Well, no, I picked it because it was the lowest one, but that's still a little much. And then I can anchor. And in this case, because I'm at 84, I'm not going to do 40 or 50 off. I'm going to go about 80 or 90. I'm going to go with John, Mary. Obviously, it needs to be comfortable. We want you excited about this. If I could do something around the 330, 340 mark, is that something that would work better for your budget? And I've anchored them, and they'll either go or give me the number. If they say the 447, now let's say they said it needed to be under 300. When you get ready to go into close, and you've got your white pieces of paper or your pad so you can do the different things you're going to talk about, and you got your presentation sheet, and you've got the iPad, already have a blank credit app sitting out. One of the things you'll talk to people long-term in the sales business is any piece of paper that might be scary, back when we used paper contracts, a credit app. The longer it's laying on the table, the less fear it invokes. Just like we talk about, the longer you go before you talk about numbers, the less scarier you are. Now, we don't use paper contracts anymore. Back in the day, we would actually have the blank contract sitting out on the table the whole time. Have your credit app sitting out right there on the whole time. The blank, just sitting there off to the side as part of the papers. It's just sitting there. You're not drawing attention to it. It's one of the, because what I don't want you to have to do is when you're ready to pull a credit app, you're doing this big dramatic, well, let me dig into my bag and pull something out. Okay? Think about that. Here you go. You say. So you don't want that fear. You want it just to be right there where you pull it right out. So if I was at this scenario, I would say, so John and Mary, just let me make Maya, go get them. You know, every time you're in here first and then go on a lead.
Yes.
Okay. She's got a track record of like 3 and 3. She stops by the class, goes and runs an afternoon lead and sells it.
Yes, I'm going to.
Okay. So if I'm at this point, I'm going to go, so John and Mary, just let me make sure I've got it right. You're completely comfortable with $1,000, and we'll do that with a check. And we need to get the financing option. We need to get the financing program under $300 a month, and you're completely comfortable with that. Am I hearing you right? And they go, yeah. They haven't said they're buying. They go, yeah. Take your credit app and a pen and put it right in front of them. Well, folks, like I said, our best feature is affordability. Congratulations on your new, whatever it is. Let me just get you to fill out that form. Whenever you're putting a form in front of someone, whenever you present the price presentation sheet, always slide it in the middle of the people. You will know who is in the driver's seat with this couple by who picks it up. If you slide it to one or the other, you might get it wrong. Slide it in the middle and see who picks it up and starts fidgeting it. Most times, that's the person in the driver's seat decision making in this house. Same thing with the credit app. If you're going for the credit app at this point, slide it to folks, let me get you started on this, and then pick up your iPad and act like you're fiddling with something. Don't do one of these. And if they don't pick it up right away, we're assuming the sale. We're not stepping back from the sale, so I don't look at them and go, "What is there a problem?" I look at them and go, "Did you have a question?" Because obviously we're doing this. Well, what was your question? All right. Now, if we've gotten that far and they don't go for the credit app, because they're going to do one of two things. They're either going to pick it up or they're going to go, whoa, what's going on here? All right. Then what are they going to give us? They're going to give us an objection. And the objection is going to be one of two things, isn't it? It's going to be a money objection where they're coming back to this, or it's going to be anything else. I need to think about it. I need to talk to somebody. I got to get other estimates. I need to whatever. And we're going to ARIO. So if they give me an objection, I'm either 3-step or ARIO to bring it back to the money. Bring it all back to the money. Now, once you bring it back to the money, this is the change from version 1.0. We're going to put another close in here while we're still right here. And this is the return on investment close. I'll do the one with showers. It's with windows, you just add the energy audit. It's so easy to do. So you've brought it back down to the money. This is what you got. Your closing piece of paper is like this, or maybe a separate sheet. Don't let it get too busy on you. That's why you want several sheets. And then I want you to go, well, folks, do you remember when we were talking with the showers about the acrylic and plastic? You weren't interested in the fiberglass or plastic showers. We talked about that, right? So right now, today, the company selling the plastic showers, the average shower is between $14,000 and $16,000 if you place an order with one of these companies. Sound about right, John? Get them to agree, yeah, that sounds about right. Or they could see how it would be that or something like that. So let's just take the middle of that number. Let's take 15. Now you remember when I was talking about the costs and inflation, how I showed you from 2021 to 2022, things went up in costs 12% in just that 12-month period of time. It's one of the slides in your company story now, is you show them 2021, and when you click on 2022, it says 12% increase in projects in one 12-month period alone. And so you're able to say, you remember when I showed you that? And they go, yeah. I said, so let's take a conservative 5%. So 15,000 times, and I'm doing it by times 1.05, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. At just a 5% increase, that same shower that's $15,000 now, in 10 years will cost you $24,433. Remember when I shared with you how 30 to 35% of all the work we're doing is replacing the same thing done within the last 8 to 15 years? Can you see, folks, how using plastic, and this is a powerful close if you're in one of those situations that they don't have the original bathroom. Remember how we can look if the drop-in surrounds don't have any seams, we know it's original, but if it's already pieced in, somebody's done this at a point. So this is super powerful, even if they weren't the ones that did it. Well, we bought the house about 10 years ago, so probably the people that sold you the home did it right before you bought it, make it kind of shiny, and you are 10 years later having to do it. So if I take the 24,433 plus 15,000, in a 10-year period, you're talking $39,433. You ever heard the term good money chasing bad? This is bad money chasing bad because they came back and did the same darn thing. So the Kohler system, from a company that's 150 years old, that's family owned, that has their name on everything they make, and gives you that unconditional warranty that's good for as long as you're in the house and covers everything. A one-time solution, $39,433 minus 27,778. You have just saved $11,655 by doing it right. Now, John and Mary, do you remember when we looked at cost versus value and we saw that when you do a bathroom remodel, that 60% of what you spend, as long as it's quality materials, goes back to the value of the home? Remember when we looked at that on that sheet? And your home's an appreciating asset, isn't it? It's an asset that goes up in value. Sometimes, like recently and back in the early 2000s, it goes up like a rocket, doesn't it? So not only are you saving by doing the job right, but if we take that 27,778 times that 60%, the day the job's done, your shower is now worth Your home has gone up in value $16,668. Now, home values have been going up. Let's take that same conservative 5% that we used just a minute ago. Inflation's kicking along at 8, 10, 11% so much. Let's just use 5. So I'm going to go times 1.05, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 years from now, 60% of this is $16,668 at a conservative 5%. You've now added value to home of $27,148. You add that to the savings by doing the project right, and that's $38,803. That's directly in your pocket. John, Mary, if I could show you a scenario that you handed me $1 and I gave you back $2 every month, is that something you'd be interested in? Is that a scenario that would interest you? You give me $1, I give you back $2 every month? Not only are you well above the investment, not price, the investment of this project, because you're putting $38,803 in your pocket, but every day for the last 10 years, you've been able to enjoy that new shower. You've been able to use it every day. What do you think, folks? Affordability is our best feature, isn't it? And what am I going to do? Go for the shake of the hand. Real quick, I'm going to pause and come back to this. We've gotten away from it because of COVID. The hand gesture is so important because it's another thing that builds momentum. And in this day and age, if you go for a handshake in the first spot and they don't do it, that's fine. If you end up doing the fist bump or the elbow bump or the high five, that becomes the same symbolic gesture that you do repetitively through it. It'll serve the same purpose as long as you're doing the same one each time at the same places. So try for the handshake, but if they're like, oh, we don't shake hands, all right, give me a fist bump. Or how about the elbow? But get the fist bump, the elbow, the air high five, any symbolic gesture that you use correctly and repeatedly in the right spot. So when's the first time we want a handshake? My first time when I meet them at the door, right? When's the second time I want a handshake? Statement of intent, when they agree not to give me a maybe, right? When's the third time I get a handshake?
When they give you a commitment on their company.
Company commitment. And that means I get a handshake after what?
Pre-close.
The product commitment and the pre-close when my best feature is affordability. So if I've done this correctly, I've gotten this symbolic gesture 5 times before I go into the close. You have established that this is a sign of agreement where nobody has to say anything. So you can go for a handshake here. You can do the return on investment close and then go, I told you our best feature is affordability. That's saving some money, isn't it? And just stick your hand out. See if they close. We've now gone for the close 2 or 3 times, depending on which customer this was, and we're still right here. Now, if they don't close at this point, this is the other thing I didn't do on version 1.0, you're going to do the qualification. So the qualification is you're going to ask, and I don't have the questions quite right, but you're going to go, so before I leave, John and Mary, do you have any questions about Remodel USA, how we run the jobs, how we watch our crews? No. Still understand how great a job we would do for you, completely comfortable with us doing the work for you? No, absolutely. And the Kohler shower, you can see how this would be the best shower to put in your home. The Energy Max window would be the right window for your home. See, that's the right product for you. Yep, absolutely. All right, well, let me get things cleaned up. Let me ask you before I go, John and Mary, and remember that's good for a year. When were you thinking you'd be calling me back? Whether they say a week, a month, or 6 months, what is your answer?
That's soon.
Wow, that soon? Exactly. Wow, that soon. So you're going to go, when they say before I leave. Wow, that you've substantiated. So let me ask you, John and Mary, before I leave, since you're so soon to doing it, there was one other program. I hesitated to mention it because I thought you were just in the planning and design and planning stage. But since you're so close to making a decision on this, I'd like to tell you about one other program we have. If I could show you how you could save a substantial amount of money on this project, is that something that would interest you? Yes, it is. Great. Now, this is not a program that's for everybody, and I want to tell you why, because I want you to understand where this incentive comes from. Now, let me erase all this so I can do this for you. So here I am on another piece of paper. The way that I can save you a significant amount of money, because I don't want to change, you wouldn't want to change anything about the product, would you? You wouldn't want to use substandard installers or have somebody, Jose from in front of the big box store without insurance out here, would you? So the only way we can provide a significant incentive for you is if we can find a way for our company to either save money or operate more efficiently. And we want to give you that savings because what we want is your business. So I see 50, 60 people a month, and about 50% of customers that I see will buy from us. About 50%. Now, 25% are going to give us a no, or they don't qualify. And that's okay. We're not for everybody. But where the costs come in is the other 25%, where we have to make 2, 3, 4 repeat visits back to the homeowner. Now I don't have Grosso's down, so I'm going to give you what I would say now, and I will weave this in. This is how I would say it now. See, John and Mary, I am a multi-million-dollar producer for the company. I write a lot of business. And as you can see, our average sale is about 24, 25, 26,000. Better than every other person that I go see, I do business with. So that means literally every appointment I go to the company is worth about $15,000 worth of revenue. You take the number of visits I do in a month and you divide it out, because we don't know who's going to place an order. That's the part we don't know. So that means every appointment I go to is worth anywhere from $15,000, $16,000 of revenue to the company. Now I run approximately 3 appointments a day. Let me ask you, David, if I had a 12 o'clock scheduled with you and then at the last minute I called and said that I couldn't come or I was going to be several hours late, that wouldn't make you happy, would it?
No.
You probably wouldn't let me come back out, would you?
Probably not.
And there's a cost to that lost business. And that's what my company can't afford, is to lose the revenue that appointment would represent because of the amount of business I write. So what we want to do is, for those folks who really love what they've shown them and they're seriously considering moving forward, we've got some initial visit incentives. And now at this point, pull your coupon out and show them the 60% off. And how many of you are using the letter that Mark did about the price increase coming February 1st?
I asked him for it and didn't.
Get it from me. I got it. I'll make you a copy. Okay? And highlight the couple of lines in there about how he's holding it off. It actually started January 1, but we're waiting until February. So we got a couple of things going on. Not only do we have the initial visit incentive that this coupon represents, but there's an impending price increase, and show him the letter. And then at that point, I'm going to go to my iPad, kill the 1 year. I know what that number was, $2,771. That's 60% savings. By us not having to make a repeat trip is worth $2,771 to us. Please have it. And then I'll take a piece of paper and I'll write down, I'm not going to do the math, it'd be 25,078 or something like that. And now at this point, because I kept 120 or 144 in my back hip, okay? Because I didn't pull out the 120 or 144 because I did this through anchoring, just had a conversation if I could get there. If they closed, then I would have used whichever one I needed to get there. But they didn't close, they brought it back with an objection to either this or anything else. So now when I do this, what else are they eligible for during our first visit? This is our standard financing. I'll have this no matter what the feds do. But right now I have a preferred financing program that we can use while we're talking here today. And then I'll pull out the 120 and I'll show them what that, just go to your payment estimator, the 120, and show it to them. And then you can do any one of the symbolic, credit app if you haven't pulled it out. You can sit there and go, don't you love to save money? And they go, remember, I don't ask a question, but you can ask that, but don't say something like you want to give it a try or does that take care of it? No, I'm going to say, don't you love to save money? And he goes, yep, and I do my symbolic gesture, whatever it is. Let's say the 120 here came out at 312, but they told me I needed to be at 300 or less. I'm not going straight to the 144. This is the little teeny steps of a waltz where they see the work you're putting in. See how much conversation I've had just to get from one number to the next? This is how you close at high commission rates. You bring that close up, move it up. So I'd put the 312 in front of them, and I'd put it down. I'd put that number in the savings and the 312, and then I'd look at it and go, kind of missed the mark on there with that 312, didn't we? I know you had said that you needed it to be under 300. Is the 312 work, or was the 300 just really where you were at? Then they might go, no, we can handle 312. Great, you got it. Because if they say we can handle 312, they're closed. Just get a handshake. But if they stand on, no, it's really got to be under 3. Let me check on something. And I'll make an MOD call right then to my manager. Place, people, project, affordability. I'm going to let my manager know I've already shown them the initial visit incentive. They love the savings. But Mr. Spire, when we were talking earlier, they literally, 300 is where they need to be, 300 or less on their monthly investment. And I came back at 312. There's got to be something we can do. I know you've got a couple of those preferred programs that you didn't make available to everyone. What can we do for these folks? And then when he gives you permission to use the 144 on your payment estimator, this comes back at 278 or 274. And you go, I love that our best features are affordability. Or look at that, we got it. Give me the fist bump. And just, everybody's happy you got there. Now, if that doesn't work, then you can roll into your stand. I'm not going to do them again. I don't want to keep you guys here forever. Yeah, we're tracking nicely. But now you're teed up to do your standard MOD calls. You got your social media, you got your flex install, you got your manager special. So you're 3 or 4 closes into it and 7 or 8 no's through your conversation. You've had several no's and you've looked for the business hard 3 or 4 times, and now you still have all those phone calls for the higher authority. 2 things I want you to take away, then we'll see if Nick has anything he wants to add, and we'll get everybody out of here. 2 things I want you to take away from this. Closing is a slow dance. It is not a sprint from number to door. Closing is the most enjoyable. If you don't have the most fun in close, you need to take the pressure off yourself and relax. If you're feeling that's the worst part or the hardest thing, you're not doing a good enough demo, because if you do a great demo, the close should be the most exciting thing you're doing in the home. That's the competitive sport of it. And it's a slow dance. People who write big money sit in the close because they're having so much fun with it. They're enjoying the give and take, the negotiations. Learn to keep things back. Give them one thing. Don't just data dump on them with a whole bunch of stuff and overwhelm them and empty your holster where you don't have anything to work on. So that's the first thing I want you to take from it. This is a slow dance. It's a waltz. It's not a sprint from beginning to end. And the second thing is this term, true rejection. If you are not staying in the home until they politely put you out, you are quitting on an objection. You are believing the objection and you are quitting on it and you are leaving. Frank was in a demo the other day. They didn't close it. That lady was done, wasn't she?
Oh, she was done.
She was done. We're done. I got things to do. You need to get to that point. Because hold on one second, Andre. Who hates the rehash department getting a job behind them? Raise your hand. How many of you have had a demo that they rehashed and got behind you? David, happened once or twice? Pisses you off, doesn't it? If you go to true rejection, you'll put Salwa out of business.
Burn that bridge.
Because when they call, they're going to be like, no, I don't want it. That person was here for 4.5 hours. By God, I had to politely get them out of the house. Nobody's coming back. We'll put the rehash department out of business. Do not leave on objections. Go for true rejection until they politely shut down and put you down. If they give you true rejection and I'm up here and I'm not bottomed out, I just keep going. I'm talking true rejection at the end of your rope. Because if you're up in the close, you don't stop. You've got something else to do. But you got to go for true rejection. It's a waltz. It's not a sprint in the close. And you've got to learn to go for true rejection. It'll make an incredible difference in your business if you'll start doing that. Nick, anything you want to add? Nicholas has left the building. Are you there, Nick? Any questions from anybody? Zoom. Andre, what was your question?
The person that you had at 100% demo, I just wanted to hear what they would say versus what his problem was to try to see what's the difference between both of them.
Well, why don't you, I'll tell you who that was and call and ask them. I don't want to hold everybody up, we're already at 2 hours and counting. But I'll give you their number to call them and ask them. Anybody on Zoom?
Yeah, can I ask you a question?
Yep. If it relates to what we've talked about today.
Okay, I think it relates. Can we give shorter terms for financing, like 3 years, 2 years? Because some of my customers don't want to go like 10 years for financing a bathroom.
Okay, so my answer to that is, if that conversation's coming up before they're closed, you need to quit bringing up how long the loans are for. You don't. These are the only terms. This is the only terms I discuss of 60 and 84, and then they'll ask. Listen, if somebody comes into your home and tells you that thing you want to buy is going to be $550 a month, and then 30 minutes later they figure out how you can get it for $267 a month. What did they do to get the number down? They stretched the loan. Everybody either gets that or will ask the question, but do not bring up the length of the loan except for right here unless they ask. And then to take that conversation further, Maya, if somebody said, well, I don't want to do it more than 3 or 4 years, absolutely not a problem. Go to your payment estimator in one click, put 9.9 for 36 months and ask them if they can handle $1,100 a month.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else? Last chance, Nick, if you want to add anything. All right.
So we do have 5-year loans.
If you find somebody that adamantly wants a 5-year loan, absolutely have it. I think it might be Service Finance. They're in there. And if you have to, you can call Michelle. In 26
Dividend
months.
does it too, Errol.
Huh? Dividend does
Yep, I was
too?
about to say that. Dividend does it.
I've only had
Hey, can I
one
say
person
something,
in
Harold?
24 months sign for.
I tell them they can decide how long
Harold.
they want to do it
Yes.
themselves. It's unsecured. If you want to pay it off in 2 years.
Yes, whoever's there.
5 years, you can. It's up to you.
There's
All
Nick.
unsecured, no prepaid.
Do you have anything you want to add, Nick?
Yeah. So I was gonna say, when you have a customer that says that, you simply explain to them that that's perfect. What our customers that want a 5-year loan do is they make whatever payment they were gonna make on a 5-year loan, which I can give you, and you're actually gonna end up paying it off